necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions of WBGR Network. Any questions or concerns about what is said should be directed to the show host, whose information will be provided upon request.
Lady who walks around without being shady, who knows her values, who's gone through trials. Her smiles are captured from mouth to mouth. It's not the size of her thighs she worries about, but the pride she thrives to keep that drive. That cinnamon twist, that cinnamon twist, that cinnamon twist. Ladies, can you feel me? That cinnamon twist, that cinnamon twist, that cinnamon twist.
Hey, it is your girl Tasha, known to the world as the Tasha Carpenter, but everybody calls me your girl Tasha because when you hang with me, it is like you were hanging with your girl. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, my favorite word is BAM, because I'm always being authentically me. And y'all know what it is? It is the first Monday of 2020. And every year for my first show, I'm making sure that we give you something that helps you to be better. And that's what's going on today as we open up and we see this beautiful sister next to me with her lips popping and the hair is twisting and all the other kind of stuff. Got the shine going on, okay? Miss Ayanna E. Jackson is in the studio today.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Hey, girl.
Great. You look great.
Thank you.
She is a career coach, okay? So, guys, I'm always talking about that people need to get past their fears and they should be willing to start their own business and things of that nature. But the bottom line is being an entrepreneur is not for everybody.
Exactly.
So for those of you who are chickens, we have Miss Ayanna here to answer some questions for you. So some people might not know. And you know what? Matter of fact, I had a person who I put up our flyer and some regular groups had some things up there. Somebody actually said,
what's a career coach?
Bedora Johnson, she said, as a woman, what drives you to be a career coach?
Good question.
So what is a career coach?
Yeah.
And as a woman,
yeah,
I was like, she should be a man. And then that's when I had to look, because Bedora, you're in one of the groups, and I was like, is this a man or woman? I had to go to your little picture and see that you are a female too. But so answer that question for the audience.
Sure. So a career coach is someone who ideally should be able to give you guided advice to the career that you're seeking. So it's sometimes easier to explain what a career coach is not. First and foremost, you have to want to be coached. You have to come into that coaching relationship with the mindset that you're going to take the actions that you're supposed to take and do the things that you're supposed to do in order to move forward to the career that you want. My philosophy and my strategy with career coaching is helping you get to the job you love. Talking to the people, right? And so a career coach is someone who can really, and there's different areas, right? So my area of expertise is helping people with the job search, right? There's a lot of things that people can do, that a lot of people don't know about. There's some tricks to the trade, right? There's some behind the scenes secrets. There's hiring manager tips. There's recruiting tips. There's interview tips. So that's kind of my sweet spot in terms of career coaching and how I help people. And I'm just of the mindset that I truly believe you can do the type of work that you love. You can find the kind of job that is fulfilling, that is meaningful, that helps people, that, makes your heart sing, makes your soul sing. That kind of work is out there, but you have to know what steps to take and know a strategy to get to that type of work. Mondays doesn't have to be terrible, guys. It doesn't.
I don't know. Mondays is they said Mondays is the highest stress day of the week for a lot of people.
It is. It's also the number one day of the week that people have heart attacks.
Oh, Lord have mercy. So your purpose today on Your Girl Tasha is to stop you guys from having heart attacks.
Yes.
So do me a favor, hit share. If you're able to start a watch party too. Remember, if you have any questions, just drop it in the comments and we're going to address them as we go along. And also, if you'd like to call in and speak to Miss career coach, Miss Jackson. Dial in on 301-429-9247. If you forget it, it's right up here in the middle. 301-429-9247, okay? So tell me, what makes you a necessity?
And to answer that, the other part of that question, why as a female am I a career coach? I don't think it has anything to do with my gender, but I think it stems from years and years ago at an organization that I was working for, and I was in human resources, and I really started to deep dive into compensation and managing and dealing with people's pay and making changes and making recommendations and doing analysis. And it was really at that point that a light bulb kind of came on, where I kind of had this moment and this thought of, wow, the work that I'm doing for this particular person's pay is going to impact their whole life. It impacts how this person is going to pay their bills, their mortgage, pay for their children's school. And that's, powerful. And so it's something that I took really, really seriously. But at the same time, I think that's what really kind of was the watershed moment, the light bulb moment that I had, that I wanted to help people with their careers. It didn't manifest at that moment as, I'm going to be a career coach. But it kind of laid that foundation of, the work that I can do here in this area is going to be so impactful and so beneficial to people. And that's what spoke to my soul about it, is being able to help people in that way. So that's why I'm a career coach. Again, it didn't happen overnight. I've been in human resources for 20 years. And it's just over that time and getting those experiences that I've built it up and had, different wins, failures, good things, experiences, etc. Where I was like, yes, career coaching is it. It's just my way of, helping people get to the work that they love, because being a career coach is the work that I love. And I know how I feel about it, so I want other people to have that feeling. So I've been officially a career coach for a year, but unofficially I've been doing this type of work in terms of helping people interview and, get jobs and what to say, what not to say, negotiating salaries. I've been doing that for years, but I would just say I made it really formal exactly a year ago this month.
All right. So you started using your gifts.
Exactly.
And create yourself another stream of income.
Exactly.
Okay. So what makes a career coach a necessity?
I think it's a necessity because having been in HR for so long and having had client groups for so long, there's so many things behind the scenes that people don't understand. There's so many things that happen that go into, getting a job created, getting a job posted, how we come up with the salary for that job, who we hire and why, and what kind of skills we're looking for. And that just seems to be such hidden information from people. I feel like that's the necessity that I bring to the table as a career coach. Is I've worked on the corporate side, right? I've worked in hiring people.
So you're like a cheat sheet.
I'm like a cheat sheet, right? I can kind of give you the cheat codes to help you get over the hump. If you're constantly applying for jobs and you're not getting an interview, I can probably figure out why, and I can probably tell you why, right? And so it's having that background and that experience, I think, that makes having not just me, but a career coach in general, a necessity. It's going to give you the edge. It's something that a lot of people don't do. And sometimes you have to do what other people won't do in order to get the things that you want to have.
Okay, y'all. So the iPad is acting up. So I can't see some of your comments. But some people came on and said, hello, I saw Chicago. I saw South Carolina. Hey, guys.
Nice.
Hey. Okay. So does it make a difference whether it's private sector, public sector, federal government, all this stuff? Are you limited, or are you able to help everyone?
I think it definitely does make a difference. So if you are interested in a career coach, it's very important to ask that very question. So for me personally, I tend to work more within the private sector. I've been in the DC area now since 2006, but honestly, I've never worked for government. Now, can I point you in the right direction to somebody who can help you with that crazy long resume that you need for government jobs? Absolutely. But my line of work is more so in private sector and nonprofit. But it's important to ask that question of a career coach, because in this area alone, you have a lot of government workers, so you want your career coach to have that experience, to have that information, to be able to help you. So that's an important question to ask.
Hey, Ashton, how are you doing? Look, we have Michelle Ford. Actually, I see that she's logged on, and she submitted a question in advance. She's out of Waldorf, Maryland, and she asks, can you provide advice to people on changing from careers to new careers that they've been in a long time?
Yes. Yes. So that's something I also do as a career coach. And the beneficial time to do that is when you are currently in a job. So the process that I walk people through is an 8-step process, so to speak. It's called authentic vocation. And
what was that?
Authentic vocation.
Oh, authentic vocation.
Yes. So your vocation is your job, your calling, your passion, what it is you want to do, and it's authentically yours, right? And so, that process goes from the very beginning of what's your passion, what's your purpose, why are you here, all the way to applying to the job. Now, if you're unemployed and you need a job like now, you don't want to start with what's your passion, right? Your time is of the essence, right?
Okay.
And so that's the beauty of that process, is that you can scale it up or scale it down. So in terms of career changers, what I would suggest, and I'm not sure where this listener is in her career process right now, but if you're currently in a role and you're looking to make a change to another role, you've got some time, right? Because she's not desperate to get another job. She's not unemployed. She, doesn't have bills to pay, mortgage on the line. So this is really the perfect time to say, in this current space that I'm in, start from the beginning. What am I passionate about? What's my calling? What makes my heart sing? What is it that I really want to do? And you start there, and you really just kind of walk through this process of, how do I create a job like that? Right? Because we get so caught up in thinking, if the job title that I want is not posted on this job board, it doesn't exist. And guys, I'm here to tell you that that is definitely not true. You can craft your own job. I'm an example of it. It can absolutely be done. So job changers, it takes work, it takes time, but it absolutely can be done.
Okay, so Michelle, she said, when I interviewed for with my current company, they asked me what, I assume that's a typo, Michelle, but what would the ideal position was, or something, I guess is what you're trying to say. Girl, call it here on the phone if you're going to put typos in here. I told them a career counselor, because as a manager, I really enjoyed developing people and helping them identify what they really love doing. So, and that's great, but what I would tell you also is, when you get the opportunity to craft your own opportunity in an organization, it's great if you can articulate what it is the organization needs and what you want to do, but don't make it about you, right? You have to sell that job in terms of how it's going to benefit the organization. You have to sell that opportunity in terms of how is it going to benefit employees, managers, new hires, whatever your target group is. So it's great that they're asking you that and you can craft it, but where you really want to focus on is, what's the ROI to the company? What's their return on investment in investing in you to do that type of work? Lottie Morris says, I'm checking in from Washington, D.C.
Hey, Lottie.
Thank you, Lottie. Remember, if you guys want to call in with a question, or you have a question, drop them down in the comments. I am looking 301-429-9247, or in the comments on all three devices. I'm multitasking here.
She even took my phone.
So Michelle, did that answer your question? You know the phone number, girl. Call in here. Don't be typing no typos. I think I'm supposed to decipher them. Okay, so in doing this and all the time that you've been doing this, what have you found to be, is there like a common problem that comes across for people, something that everybody usually goes through? Common challenges or anything like that? And if so, what are they?
It's a couple of areas. So one, better resumes. So I see a lot.
Said, thank you so much.
Oh, good. Thank you, Michelle. I'm glad I was able to help. So the first challenge that I would see pretty consistently is just resumes that focus on job descriptions. Your resume is a marketing document. Your resume should be selling you. It should not be a list regurgitating what you do every day. It should be a list of accomplishments. So that's kind of the first thing I see in terms of resumes really not being strong resumes, is resumes that just list, hey, this is what I do every day. And, the example that I always give in that is, if I'm a payroll manager and I'm looking for a payroll assistant, I'm going to know what a payroll assistant should be doing. I know what a payroll assistant's job should look like on a day-to-day basis. What I want to see is you as the payroll assistant, when you submit your candidacy to me, is what accomplishments have you done? What kind of reports did you generate, and why? Did you come up with new ones? Who saw them? Did you get in front of senior leadership with them? Did you change the way payroll interfaces work? Did you implement a project that made the payroll process smoother, better, faster, save money? List accomplishments. That's the number one thing that I see with resumes in terms of how they could be better, and like a common pitfall in terms of what I see in terms of, just over and over, like, this is not great. This is something that could be better. Another thing that I see pretty frequently is for internal organizations. So when you're going up for an internal job, another promotion, another position, one of the things that I see quite often is people kind of rest on their laurels. They kind of rest on, they know me. They know the great work that I do. They know I'm awesome. And guys, the reality is they don't. They don't know what you did. They might know what you did yesterday. They don't know what you did 6 months ago. They don't know what you did a year ago. So take your internal interviews as external interviews. Take them very seriously. Sell yourself. Get that resume updated with accomplishments and sell yourself. Like, that's the biggest thing that we don't do, is you can't be afraid to pat yourself on the back. You have to show up and show out, literally, at internal interviews, because you have to set yourself apart. And the way that you do that is not to say I, but the company, the department, the organization, and what you can do for them. So just don't rest on your laurels. So those are the two big areas that I see where people have real opportunities for improvement, is with resumes that really don't list accomplishments, and then really selling yourself in internal opportunities for your organization.
Okay, so you had said that just because the job is not on the board,
right,
doesn't mean that it's not the job that you want.
Correct.
That make you sing and make you fall in love and all this stuff is not out there.
Right.
How does someone go about, I guess, in the manner that they decide to search to find this job that makes their heart sing?
Yep.
If that's something to do.
Yep. First of all, you have to have a crystal clear vision of what that job is for you.
Okay.
What do you want to do? What skills do you possess that allow you to fully execute on that job? And not what you necessarily want to try, but what can you do? What are you a master at? What have you demonstrated success in? Right?
Okay.
And from there, you network. You tell as many people as you can, this is what I do. This is the kind of work that I'm interested in. Right? Because the more people know, when those opportunities come up, those people will call you. They're going to think of you. Because if I know your heart of heart is to be the, supervising payroll manager, I'm going to stick with the payroll example. When those payroll opportunities and those roles come up, I'm going to think of you. Because you've expressed that, you've shared with me, you've told me. That's what you do in your network, right? And then there's something called the hidden job board. A lot of opportunities don't even get posted. They hire from within. But your network, right, your LinkedIn profile, your connections on LinkedIn, right? And I know you guys are using LinkedIn. That is a number one primary source for you to be connecting with people, letting them know the type of work that you do.
Everybody is not using LinkedIn.
Oh, you guys got to get on LinkedIn.
What is LinkedIn? So and what's the benefits of LinkedIn? And Rita Harris says, I'm in the house in Washington, D.C. too.
So LinkedIn is basically a professional Facebook. So most of y'all, I'm assuming, are on Facebook since you guys are tuning in.
That's a good assessment.
Yeah, but LinkedIn is basically a professional social networking tool. It's kind of like your online calling card. It's your online resume. It's where you post, a professional headshot, a summary of your skill sets, and then, kind of all of your past positions, your certifications, your skills, your certifications, what you're good at, the experiences that you had, even papers you've published. It's a real wealth of information for you as a professional. If you're not on there, you're missing out. This is the number one place that recruiters go to for any position, right? Payroll,
your
journalism,
girl Tasha missing out.
Nurses, like whatever it is.
Your girl Tasha's missing out.
You're missing
I've been
out?
saying, because I'm on LinkedIn, but I don't have anything on LinkedIn because when I start messing with LinkedIn, it gets on my nerves.
Right.
So I haven't, and I be telling them, like, I need to go on there because I'm not even looking forward to look for another
Right. It's not just
job,
for looking for jobs.
but to look for people who are professionals to consider for partnerships with me in my health and wellness business too.
Exactly.
Charlotte, North Carolina's checking in. Author Lynette Jewell says hello and happy New Year's. Thank you. Sharon James. Sharon, help me out. Florida, Alabama, I can't remember. But Sharon says, thank you. I've been trying to help my son to sell himself and not put list of all the things he did without indicating how much he changed and perfected these things. So, Lord have mercy. Y'all knew that North Carolina was going to call in the house. Hanging with your girl, Tasha. Hi, Lynette. How are you?
Oh, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too. What do you...
Girl, I ain't seen you since last year, anyway.
I know that's right. What do you have for our career coach, Ms. Ayanna Jackson? What question you got? And don't ask about no gold or silver.
Question is actually to confirm everybody, if you're in business, if you're looking for a job, you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to use LinkedIn.
Yeah.
LinkedIn is, it's a kept secret, but if you want to take your business or whatever you're doing to the next level, she's actually right. Once I really utilized it and saw what it was, my first interview came from somebody that hit me in the inbox and said I wanted to be on my show. But I wasn't utilizing it the right way to what my mentor said. So she's actually right, if y'all want to take your business, that job, whatever you're really looking for, you have to use LinkedIn. Right now, you know those features are free because once it's charged, we're going to be short.
Yeah, exactly. It is free, yes.
And listen to what she's saying. I mean, it's so much benefit. There's all kinds of people looking for us.
Definitely.
They need us. So she's actually right. So everybody, please listen to what she's saying. LinkedIn, just listen. It's important. So Tasha, use it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sweetie pie. Talk to you later.
And guys, I'll have some resources posted on my website specifically about LinkedIn. I downloaded a bunch of stuff just the other day that give you, the tips for setting up your profile, the 4 key things that you have to do. And it's not just set it and forget it, right? You want to be active, right? So maybe, if you are looking for some career changes and, some career goals you're trying to set for the year, maybe one of those should be LinkedIn. Maybe you spend more time on there than we do. We can be on Facebook for Tasha Show. But other than that, I want you guys to get on LinkedIn and set up your profile.
That's right. Now, Michelle has another follow-up question. Well, she has a couple of questions. She says, what if what you are a master at is no longer your passion? First question.
Yeah, no, that happens. And it's good that you've identified that. And depending on where you are in your career, it's never too late to make a change. And it's just like I said before, if you're in a space and you're not, desperate for another job right now, you've definitely got time to sit from soup to nuts with the authentic vocation process and say, what is my passion? What is my skill set? What is it that I want to work on? Walking you all the way through, looking and applying for those type of opportunities. So and sometimes that could result in, maybe she becomes an entrepreneur. Maybe somebody who's working in an organization and they're ready for a change, maybe entrepreneurship, is the option for them.
So she said, how do you successfully move into something new without actually on the job experience in it?
That is tough depending on the line of work that you're in now versus what you're trying to get to. So one of the easiest ways to do it is to start doing it in the role that you're in. Right. And I don't know what kind of work you do, but I can give you myself as an example, if that's okay.
Yes, of course.
So I'm an HR business partner, right? I have a client or a bunch of clients, actually, and I'm an HR generalist. So I do the day-to-day, blocking and tackling and solving problems and talking to employees and doing investigations.
Michelle, you used to be a union steward. She's on the dark side.
Exactly. I'm on the dark side of management, working with managers, recruiting, doing a little benefits, comp work, just a generalist HR work, right? My area that I love and what I like to do is career development, training, career coaching, helping people get opportunities, working with people with their resumes to get other jobs, be it internal or external. And so what I started to do on my job is to do that work, right? I had a very supportive manager. I said, hey, the interns are coming. Right. So we had 63 interns this past summer. And one of the areas of opportunity was, hey, they needed to know how to get jobs internal to our organization once they graduated. So I just put together a real simple training, an overview, do's and don'ts of a resume, do's and don'ts of LinkedIn, do's and don'ts of cover letters. And I did this training. I've done that several times in different iterations for different type of employees. And the next thing you know, I now have an opportunity to lead career development and learning for my whole company, right? So my guidance to you would be if it's something that you can do in your current organization, start doing it now. And even if you can't do it in your current organization, can you do it at your church? Can you do it at your sorority? Can you do it with the Girl Scouts? Can you do it with your committee meeting? Are you in, a fraternity? Whatever it is, any other organization outside of your job, right? How can you start implementing those skills and doing those things anyway, right? Because if you love it, you're going to want to do it whether you're getting paid or not. Right? But you got to start practicing. You have to start demonstrating your mastery, whether that's on the job or, outside the job. So it can be done. It'll just take time.
Okay, so we have Chicago checking in. Terrence Coleman says, I was talking to my friend who is a career specialist with Purdue University. Mm-hmm. She said her female students outnumber her male students 2 to 1. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is?
I don't necessarily know why that is, with the demographics. I don't necessarily know an answer to that.
Okay.
I can't speak to what's going on at Purdue. What is that, Indiana?
Don't stop me lying. Purdue is chicken.
I think Purdue is in Indiana.
Purdue is chicken.
What I can say, and this is not me being sexist, right? This is fact, scientific fact. Women do mature faster than men. Girls mature faster than boys. Girls are just they jump on it. I don't know. I really can't answer that in terms of gender. I'm sorry.
All right, so let's go to Nigeria. Bright Udo says, how do you make a career development plan? Mm-hmm. What are the parts for making a career development plan?
Yeah, sure.
So you got to talk to Nigeria now.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi there. Developing a career development plan does not have to be as intensive as you think it needs to be, right? The key there is to start with SMART goals, right? Make sure that your goals are specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and have a time around them, right? And don't come up with 10. Maybe you come up with 3 or 4, right? Because you want to be able to work on things maybe monthly or quarterly. And if you have 10, now you're at least 2 a month, and that's going to get challenging, right? So the key is to first and foremost, write it down. There's lots of career development templates out there. I wouldn't say there's anything, that's more stellar than anything else. The key is just to write it down and just be really crystal clear about what it is that you want to get from your career. And sometimes what I tell my clients is maybe you start backwards, you start at the end. And there's an acronym that I use called CARL. And that stands for the challenge or the context, the action that you took, the results that you got, and the lesson that you learned. So at the end of the day, what do you want to get from this career development, right? What is it? What's your end game? What do you want it to look like? And work backwards from there. Because sometimes we get so caught up in, the template and the format that we kind of lose sight of what is this really going to give at the end of the day? How's it going to benefit your organization? What's your department going to get out of it? What's your client going to get out of it? What should that end result look like? And then you want to work backwards.
Okay, Terrence said Purdue is not chicken. Your girl Tasha. Purdue is in Indiana.
I knew Purdue wasn't chicken.
He said, but Mr. Purdue, it's Purdue chicken all up in the grocery store. Look. He said, but she works with online students, and that's the situation with it. Mm-hmm. Let's see. While we were talking about demographics, and we're going to go back to, I did have a question that came in from St. John's, Antigua, and Barbuda. Is that how you pronounce it? Barbuda?
Yep, sure.
Don't be sending those stuff in here I can't pronounce. Y'all know I'm authentic, so I don't care. But okay, hopefully I said that right. She says, speak to dealing with Black women and colorism in the workplace.
So that can be tough, and I know that's something that a lot of women of color deal with. It's not necessarily my area of expertise, but what I can tell you is this. Control the controllables, right? One of the things that I coach my clients on is to make sure that they're demonstrating professional maturity in the workplace. And that's just making sure that we're not constantly making mountains out of molehills. Now, I'm not talking about racism. Racism and discrimination, wrong. Yes, tell somebody. Talk to HR, bring it up. But be mindful and be cautious in what you're identifying is, it's because of my race and gender versus it's because of my potential lack of professional maturity. What's your performance like?
You see how her eyes had to go up in her head so that thing would come out there right?
It had to come out right. It had to come out right, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that those things don't exist in the workplace. What I would tell you is to focus on what you can control. And that is your attitude, your emotions, and your work product. And if it's that bad, get out of there.
All right. So with that, guys, we're going to take a commercial break, and we will see you on the flip side.
Good morning. I just wanted to let you know my daughter has her genie in the bottle. This liquid gold product by Tela Divina is remarkable. If you have any spots, blemishes, things that you want to get rid of, pain, this thing, I'm telling you, I call it genie in the bottle because it is truly that. The sad thing is I have to sneak this from my daughter. She lives by this, and when I say every single day, she is on it. And if she knows that I'm in it, it's a problem. So I should just be getting one for myself. But this genie in the bottle is magical. Guys, I'm telling you, if you have these spots and things that you're trying to get rid of, try a dab of this and it will do you the goodness. Have a wonderful day.
Hey, I know I look my best, but who cares? I'm getting myself prepared to go out for the day. I just want to share a short video about this wonderful oil that I use on my sides of my head. My hair used to be really thin on the sides, but I have something that I use every day, and it's been helping me, and my sides are going back again. It's called Liquid Gold. Ladies, and there might be some men out there that might be losing their hair on the side, but this oil right here is awesome. It's called Liquid Gold. And if anybody is interested in using this gold or wanting to try it out, just contact me. I'm about to rub some more on my head right now. My hair used to be really thin from wearing cornrows and tight plaits on my hair, but now that I use this stuff really works. I would like to show you how I use it, but it might be hard. Let me put this phone on. You only use a little bit. Put a tip of it on your finger, like this. See? I use this, and like I said, it's the bomb.
Alright guys, we are back here with Hanging with Your Girl Tasha, and you guys just saw that commercial for that liquid gold. When I tell you that liquid gold oil is the bomb, everybody in this area has heard about Frank's Red Hot Sauce and how they say you can put that hot sauce on everything. That is the Frank's Red Hot Sauce of skincare, and you need to get yourself some liquid gold. But we're back with Miss Ayanna Jackson. She is the career coach out here to help everyone be successful in the career. Those of us who don't want to just be straight entrepreneurs, because as we said in the beginning, if you're just joining us, it's not made for everyone. But you know, last year when we had the furlough, a lot of people were left in the hole. And of course people deal with getting laid off or getting fired during days. How would you suggest as a career coach, how do you keep yourself prepared for that? What should be a person's B plan?
Yeah, absolutely. So usually on Tuesdays on my Facebook page, I do what's called Career Tips Tuesdays. And that's actually something that I talked about last year, was how to prepare for a layoff, right? Now, if you get fired, that's a different ball of wax, right? A layoff is like a furlough, a position elimination, where you're going to get a severance, right? And so the best way to prepare for that is to always be prepared. How do you always be prepared? First and foremost, always have your resume ready. The days are gone where, we are working for these organizations for 20 and 30 years. It's just, we don't have that luxury anymore. And organizations just don't really function like that anymore. And so what I would tell you first is always have your resume ready. Because think about it, if you've been on a job for 5 years and you haven't updated your resume since you started 5 years ago, guess what you've missed out on? You've missed out on all those accomplishments and skills and things that you've gained over the last 5 years. So now here comes the big layoff. Guess what you're scrambling to do? Figure out and remember what you did for the last 5 years. Right? So the first thing I would tell you is keep your resume up to date, right? Always. Even if you just have a running list in, an iPhone note or, something on your computer or your laptop or your iPad, whatever, just keep a running note of things you accomplished. Where you can, add metrics to those accomplishments. How much money did you save? How much did productivity increase by? How many clicks, how many downloads, how many people saw your product? How many did you make? How much did you save? How much did you make? All those are metrics and measurable accomplishments, right? So that's the first thing, is keeping that resume up to date. The second thing is, who are you networking with within your organization outside of your immediate department? Because as an HR professional, of course, I always see the layoff coming, right? But even as I look at these other groups and I look at these departments, the writing is usually on the wall if you're talking to people and if you are having conversations with people outside of your department. And by outside of your department, what I really mean is what's happening in your organization. Who are your competitors? What's going on from a government aspect that might impact the organization? What divisions are struggling? What divisions are the money makers? The more comprehensively you understand your organization and how it works, the more you can kind of, prevent yourself. You can't completely stop it, but prevent yourself from being surprised by a layoff.
Okay.
Right? You just have to be prepared. You have to stay ahead of the curve. And in that instance, last year with the furlough, there were 2 women right here in the Washington, D.C. area that got furloughed and were almost able to quit their jobs because they started making what were they called? Furlough pies?
Furlough cheesecakes.
Furlough cheesecakes.
No,
yes.
They did furlough the government. Neither one of them are working.
Exactly.
They were here on Hanging with Your Girl Tasha.
There you go. There you go.
It was funny because they were at a New Year's Eve church party and one of the sisters made some cheesecake. And the other sister really didn't eat cheesecake, but she took a piece of cheesecake home. And her and the mother was eating, and the mother said, "This cheesecake good enough to sell." And the other sister said, "Ding, ding, ding, sissy, it's good enough to sell." And nonetheless, they now have their cheesecake in Walmart.
Oh, nice.
Yes. In September.
Side hustle. Mm-hmm. Never go wrong with a side hustle.
Yes.
Right? Always have a backup because, again, we're just not in that, type of America anymore where we're working for companies 20 and 30 years. And if you are, great. Not mad at you. Just be prepared, guys. That's all you got to do.
That's why people got to be willing to use their gifts.
Exactly.
Because it wasn't that they were happy.
Right.
How many people are in jobs that they're not happy with?
Right.
Even though Ayanna can help you find the one that makes your heart sing, but your gift would make you happier than the one that makes your heart sing. Got to think about it. All right now. Tell them how we do have your website up, but tell them all the ways that they can contact you and follow you and all that stuff too.
Absolutely. So I am on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Ayanna E. Jackson Career Coach, at Ayanna Career Coach on all platforms. My website is ayannaejackson.com. And the biggest piece of what you're going to see if you go on my website today is about doing personality assessments, which that's my theme for 2020 is self-awareness and really making sure that you understand who you are as a person and your style. And not only that, but the styles of others around you, and how that plays into your work environment, your relationships with your spouse, with your kids. It's a really, really powerful tool, and I'm a huge, huge advocate of it. And it's helped me tremendously as well.
So do you have your own personal one, or you use something, you've created one yourself?
Right. There's an assessment. It's called a DISC assessment. And once you take this assessment, again, not only do you better able learn about yourself, because there's basically 4 personality styles, right? You learn about yourself, you also learn about others around you and how those interactions work. And so what the assessment tells you and what it gives you is communication style, the best way to communicate with you, the best type of role for you, what causes you stress, what happens when you overuse your skills. It's a really powerful assessment, and I've taken it several times, and it's been super beneficial.
Change? Or do you get the same results each time, or you find as the time goes on, you're
who
changing?
You are is who you are.
Okay.
Who you are, because that's the thing. We all possess all 4 of those personality traits, but some are just higher than others. Okay, right? And so it's just a really useful tool to help you with self-awareness, to really make you be honest with yourself and how you talk to others, the struggles that you have. I always used to struggle at work with my clients. I would always have, great performance reviews, but one of my clients subsequently would always say for years, Ayanna's great, but she really struggles with the little things. She sometimes dropped the ball on the little things. So not the big projects, right? Not the things that, everyone sees. Just the little things. The little form I forgot to fill out. The little thing I forgot to approve. Those are come to find out when I took my DISC assessment, my conscientiousness is low. That's the C in DISC, right?
Okay.
And so I found that really helpful because it wasn't me being forgetful. That's not my strength.
It wasn't that important.
No, it's not even that. It's not that it wasn't important. Inherently in who I am, that's not my strong suit. Okay. Is that level of conscientiousness, that level of detail orientation. Okay. It's just not my strength. It doesn't make me a bad person, right? It doesn't make anybody a bad person because nobody's personality style is better than others, right?
At all.
Right. It's just that particular area is something I have to work at. Is it going to become my number one strength? Never. Never. But I can work at it and get better.
Kimberly Wingfield said, good tips, Ayanna.
Hey,
I will be sharing them definitely.
Kim, go to my website. Hi, lady.
Now we have Sonia Gentry Avalo, Adloa, sweetheart, I'm sorry.
Yep, that's all right.
From Arizona, says, when making career moves, what is the best way to work-life balance with ambition?
Work-life balance with ambition. I mean, that's really up to you and your boss, right? It depends on the culture of your organization. How do they approach that? What's the vibe on that? What are the policies around working from home, flex time, job sharing? So what is the culture at your organization first? And then 2, with your ambitions, if you're working a 9 to 5, your ambition might have to have you get up an hour or 2 early, or you might have to stay up an hour or 2 later if you're driving towards working on a side business or doing something different or transitioning jobs. You can't necessarily always get that done in your 9 to 5, right? So your work-life balance, you have to define it for you. You have to define for what makes sense for you, and then just make sure that you're communicating that with your manager.
Okay, now if you feel as if you're in a job and you're not being valued at all, how do you, is that something that you can change, or how do you make yourself become value in the workplace, or where it shows that you're making some kind of impact in the workplace?
Yeah, and that can be a tough one because, a lot of times people don't leave companies. They tend to really leave managers. They leave people. And so if you're feeling like, you're not being valued, first and foremost, you got to self-assess, right? Let's make sure that what the issue really is that you're not valued, right? Because that's pretty loaded, and it can also be very generic in a sense. Well, what do you mean by value?
Okay.
What does that look like to you? What does that mean to you? Are you not getting paid? Do you really just want a raise? Or do they poo-poo on all the work that you turn in? Like, what does being valued mean, right? And starting with being self-aware, what kind of work product are you producing? Are you working on the things that are, required, beneficial, important, money making, to the organization, to the department? So you have to be self-aware of what you're doing first, and then really kind of identifying, hey, what does value mean to me, and how are you really being treated, and getting to the root cause of that, because that can be pretty heavy. There's a lot that could be behind that.
Okay, we're going to flip-flop, and then we're going to flip-flop back. Miss Dana Brown says,
hey, Dana.
Good tip again, but she's interested in taking that assessment.
Okay. AyannaEJackson.com.
Okay, so anybody can go to the and take the assessment, okay?
Yes.
Now, back to this feeling value. A lot of times, especially people usually say the people at the top don't know what's going on. It's the foot soldiers that know what's going on.
Yeah.
So when you are trying to make suggestions or you're trying to tell people that, hey, this will work better this way, for instance, maybe if there's two separate departments that are merged together and really they should be separate, that one shouldn't have nothing to do with the other one. And you keep, every time you turn around, things keep failing. It keeps falling out. It keeps falling out. You keep saying, hey, I shouldn't be. For instance, HR and security. And government agencies, a lot of times they're separate. So if the security people are underneath the HR people, they don't understand what you're doing, but they're in charge of you. And every time they turn around, they're telling you that you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. But things keep falling out because they're not doing it the way you're doing it. And everybody else is working fine. What do you do in those cases?
So that is a core organizational development problem, right? And sometimes what works, if you can't solve it in-house, is to bring in an outside consultant. That's an option, right? And I know just the everyday person can't just bring in a consultant, so maybe that's something you talk with management about. The other thing is, do you call together the key stakeholders?
How do you make them listen to the consultant? Because if
they're going to bring in a consultant,
they've had several consultants, but nothing has changed in this particular organization.
That sounds like a leadership issue. There sounds like a leader that's kind of blocking that. And, organizational design and development isn't my area of expertise, but just in terms of, if the question is, how do I get them to listen to me? You got to start with a self-assessment. You have to start with, what's my reputation? How am I viewed? How do I come across? What's my reputation? That's the core foundation for anyone trying to get somebody to listen to them and to move forward in an organization.
Okay. All right. Cool beans. Now, as a career coach,
yes,
what questions do you hear all the time?
Can you look at my resume? Can you fix my resume? Those are the two big ones. I hear a lot of, well, I don't want to make that particular to any organization, but I gotta be careful, right? I hear a lot about trying to move to the next level and how do I do that? I hear a lot about, I'm underpaid. There's people who I do more work than them, but they make more money than me.
Okay.
And again,
how do you fix that?
Right. Those again are things from an HR perspective. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And again, what am I going to tell you to start with? Self-assessing. If you're underpaid, if you feel you're underpaid, the way to address that is not to go necessarily to your manager and cry and whine about it and point to everybody else that's doing the other things. I honestly would start with your HR manager, your HR business partner, and say, hey, can we do a compensation analysis on people in my position? Because based on some research that I've done, I think I may be underpaid for the amount of work that I'm doing. So you see how that sounds very different than, I'm underpaid, Bobby, Susie, and Tina, and Michelle, and all of them. They're not doing as much as I. It's a very different conversation when you approach it from, can we do an analysis? Can we look at all the people in this position? Can we look at my years of service and my experience and tenure with the company? You really want to approach it from a perspective of the company and not just you. Not just me, not just I'm underpaid. You might indeed be underpaid, but nobody's going to take the initiative to solve the problem the right way if you're coming screaming and hollering about what everybody else is doing. That's where that self-awareness comes into play as a foundation, and that professional maturity that we talked about earlier.
Now, of course, I'm sure that they can go and do the little, do the assessment for free on your website.
It is not free.
Oh, I assume that you just click a button and you fill it in. Because I'm going to say, when they do that for free, I know the rest of your services can't be for free. But guys, that's not free either.
You take the assessment, and I'm doing a live webinar where I will break down your assessment results for you.
Okay, so then they want, hold on. You do an individual live webinar?
I can do it individually. I prefer to do it in a group because it's just much more robust in a group, because you'll get those other personalities and you can see those other personalities play out in that webinar.
Okay, so like they do the assessment, then you schedule them for a webinar later on.
Correct. And you'll get your assessments immediately after you take it.
Okay.
But if you want the additional breakdown, which is in that cost, in terms of, hey, can you explain this to me? What does this graph mean? What does this chart mean? That's what the live webinar will do.
Okay, so my question is going to be, how much do your services run, and how long does a person usually length of time that they're probably going to work with you?
Yeah, it really depends. So remember how I talked about in the beginning with the authentic vocation process? That's kind of soup to nuts, right? So that's a pretty lengthy process of anywhere from 2 to 4 months. Right? Because it just depends on the timing. I'm at the tail end of it with someone now, and it literally took 3 months to go through the 8 steps, right? If you're looking, I don't do resume rewrites anymore. I'll do a quick resume review. That only takes a little bit of time. I do group coaching. So I have a 21-day career challenge that I've done. That's a 4-week process. Once a week, we get together every week, and I walk you through the 21-day career challenge, which is the purpose of that is to help you start your job search process for the job that you want. So there's a number of different things that I offer. Those prices vary. Email me if you're interested. I'm happy to send you some information.
Okay, how often do you do the 21-day career challenges?
So I did that 3 times last year. I was doing it quarterly. My last one ended in October, right before I started teaching my class. So I had to kind of space it out because I had to teach also. But when the 21-day career challenge comes back, it will be on my website.
So where do you teach at?
So I'm an adjunct professor at Anne Arundel Community College, which is out in Arnold, Maryland, towards the Eastern Shore, and I teach career development.
Okay, how many students you have?
So not that many. So right now I'm not teaching. So I'll teach again in the spring, and it can be anywhere from honestly 5 to 15. Is a sweet spot because it's a 5-week course, and it's mostly online. We meet in person for the first course. We do the bulk of the work online, and then we meet in the end. At the end of the 5 weeks to do elevator speeches and interviews.
Okay. And well, some people don't know what that term elevator speech means.
Yeah. So an elevator speech is just kind of your less than 30-second spiel about yourself. The term elevator speech comes from if you're in an office building and you get on the elevator and then the CEO of the company gets on, you've roughly got about 30 seconds to kind of talk to the CEO and kind of sell yourself. And all it really does is it gives you a very strategic way to come up with your spiel about, who you are, what you do, who you help, and why it's important. It's a really short blurb, and it's actually something that I walk you through in the 21-day career challenge. During that career challenge, I teach you how to create an elevator speech.
Okay, so what's your elevator speech?
Ooh, I should have been prepared for that. My name's Ayanna Jackson, and my joy is helping people find the career that they love with a strategic process that I can help walk them through from beginning to end.
How does she do, guys? What y'all think? How she do? So Michelle Ford suggested, I think that she must be talking about when you're in an office and you're not feeling valued. She said also keep track of everything that you do and contribute. She said, I actually had that issue in the past, but when I laid it out in front of them, they couldn't deny nothing.
Exactly. You got to write it down, guys. That's why accomplishments are important. Metrics are important. Absolutely, Michelle. That's right on target.
Okay, so how long have you been in the workforce?
Ooh, so
how old are you?
You weren't getting that information out of me, but you'll probably be able to figure it out. So for undergrad, I went to Clark Atlanta University. Woohoo, go Panthers! And then for grad school, I went to Michigan State University. I have a master's in labor relations and human resources. So don't do the math, but I've been in HR full time since 2000.
Okay.
So it's my 20-year anniversary this year for human resources.
So I'm sure it's been different type of positions and everything. So what did you find to be your most pleasurable position and why?
Yeah.
And how did you find yourself in that position?
Yeah. My favorite position, ironically, hope no one's listening. My favorite position was with the company that I disliked the least. And I know that sounds odd, but... The
company that I disliked the least.
No, right. The job that I loved the most was with the company that I disliked the most.
Okay. All
right. And so what I mean by that is just the role that I had was kind of like an HR project manager. And I didn't have any clients, right? And so I had a recruiter reporting to me and an HR assistant. And I got to do project work. I got to do all the training and the performance management, all that good stuff. And did you ask how I got that job or how that job came about?
Yeah. How did you find yourself in that position?
I got recruited by my old colleague from a previous company. That's why networking is important. Don't burn your bridges. And it was just my favorite role because, again, I got to do the work that I like. I got to do training. I got to come up with different type of training. I got to do presentations. I got to communicate across the entire division. I got to develop those communications in conjunction with the president of the division. So I had a lot of exposure to senior leadership. And it was just a great role because I really got to do the work that I love.
Okay. Sounds real good. I don't know if somebody's going to follow my instructions, but somebody's in the chat talking about, hey, honey. I hope that's Terrence Jackson. I assume that's the husband. He's saying, hey, honey. But we'll see if he might have some tips. I sure hope it's nobody else saying, hey, honey. So people always talking about the best way that you can get smart or prepare yourself for something is by reading a book.
Yes.
So when you think about books, what is your favorite book, or what reading do you suggest that a person do in order to help themselves get prepared to go on this journey to find the perfect career?
Yeah. For one, there's a lot of books out there, right?
He's laughing.
Who, Terrence?
I think that was him laughing.
Okay, thank God. Yes, it was him. So one, there's a ton of books out there, but there's a couple in particular that not only helped propel me into career coaching and doing the work that I enjoy doing, but also just are good for others to read in terms of developing their career. So the first one I would say is a book called 48 Days to the Job You Love, and it's by a gentleman named Dan Miller. That book was really instrumental for me because I read it at a time where I was in a position that I didn't like. I was tired of being in that type of role. And just like some of you, I'm stuck. How do I get out of this? What do I do different? What steps do I take? How do I get there? And that book is just really great because it just laid it all out. It just laid out some steps you can take.
Okay.
It's a lengthy process. But honestly, before I even got halfway through it, I had another opportunity. And so that book to me is just kind of like my Bible for, pushing forward for another opportunity. It's called 48 Days to the Work You Love. Another book that's been extremely helpful for me, and one that I advocate a lot, is The Miracle Morning. And it's by Hal Elrod, Hal Elrod, Elrod. It's called The Miracle Morning. And that is the book that propelled me, and I read this book about 4 years ago now, that I now get up every day at 5 a.m. and work out. And if everybody goes, oh my God, I can never do that, read the book. And the book is nothing new. It's not going to tell you anything that you don't know, but it gives you the strategies that you need to get there. Right? I was not a morning person. Now I promise you I can't sleep past 5:30. My husband might say otherwise, but I really cannot sleep past 5:30. So The Miracle Morning was incredibly helpful for me in pushing me forward into better habits.
He said not only does she sleep, she snores.
You know what?
He didn't say that. That's me. That's
okay,
me.
I was about to say, let's get him off the chat.
I'm not trying to mess up your dinner, Terrence. I'm not trying to mess up your dinner. Okay, so now you said that you've been doing this officially.
Yes. In
the title of career coach
yes.
for a year. Is there a certification for
that?
There
is a certification. That is the Career Coaching Institute. And there was how many weeks was that? I think there was a 12-week course. Okay. It was online. It was only me and one other person, so I got all the teacher interaction that I could get. There was lots of homework, lots of practice, and then afterwards you get your coaching hours towards your certification. So yes, there is absolutely a career coaching certification.
Okay, so with that being said, that it's been a year, where do you see this going? Mm-hmm. What is the next level for your business?
For me, the next level is with these assessments. I believe in the DISC assessment, hands down. And I think it's such a powerful tool that it's one of those things where I shout it from the rooftops and I want people to take it and I want people to participate in it because it is such a game changer. We talk a lot about, self-awareness. I'm a huge advocate that self-awareness is a key to success. And if you want that success, you have to understand who you are inherently as a person. And I just really believe that this assessment is the way to do that and get you going in the right direction. And not only that, like I said before, it's such a powerful tool because not only do you understand yourself, you understand the other people around you. You can automatically start to identify, who's D, who's I, who's S, who's C. And it becomes second nature to you, right? It just becomes a part of your lexicon. It becomes a part of your daily verbiage. My daughter is so quick to be like, Mommy, in my training, I use birds, right? So when you go on my website, you're going to see an eagle, a parrot, a dove, and an owl. And in my family, we discuss this so much, and it's so apparent that my daughter has said, well, Mommy, I know I'm a parrot, but I'm going to be a dove at school.
Okay.
So it's that simplistic to understand, but it's that powerful to use.
Okay, so that's short time frame. Long time frame.
Long term.
What do you see for Ayanna Jackson?
Long term, I am coaching globally full time. Okay. I am traveling. I am training. I am facilitating. I'm doing group coaching. I'm doing one-on-one coaching, and I don't have to punch a clock on this current 9-to-5, which I like my current 9-to-5. I do.
Okay, and your date on that goal is set at what?
So originally, it's funny that you asked that. My original date was December 31st, 2020. I had mapped out a plan down to the dollar, like how much I needed and what I needed to do to leave my current position and do this full time by the end of this year. Okay. And then look at the Lord, I got promoted. So I just got this promotion at work. So I went, okay, thank you. So I went, ooh, I'm gonna work another maybe year or two. So that December 2020 plan is on hold. It's a phenomenal opportunity. It's doing the work that I love. It's, I managed to put myself in this really great position to kind of create this role and do this type of work. So it's not the kind of thing y'all just like, no, I'm going to go do my own thing right now. I've got a little time, so I'm going to roll with this promotion for now and see how this goes.
All right. So with that being said, what is one last thing that you want to say to the audience as the time is wrapping up, and also recap how they can get into contact with you?
Sure. I would just tell you guys, if you're interested in, changing careers or getting another career or looking for another position, you've got to put in the work, right? My authentic vocation process, it requires you to work, but that's what you have to do if you want to make the change that you want to make for yourself. You don't have to be in drudgery. You don't have to be miserable on Mondays. It does not have to be like that. And I'm a walking example of that. I'm excited to go to work. I like the work that I'm doing. And guys, it's not all roses. It's not sunshine and puppy dog tails, every single day. But you can put yourself in a better situation. You just have to put in the work for it. If you're interested in learning how to do that, please contact me. My email address is info@AyannaEJackson.com. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter. You can email me. Website is AyannaEJackson.com. So come on, guys, let's make 2020 fantastic for your career. I know you can do it, and I'm happy to help.
All right, so there you had it, guys. I am not going to announce who's going to be on the show next week. Y'all just have to make sure you come back. I thank you so much.
Absolutely.
For being in the studio.
Thank you.
And she will be returning, and we hope to have some role playing and things like that. Because later on we'll be going into a different format, and hopefully to help some people so they can see you in action.
Sure,
okay,
definitely.
You gave us the elevator speech. Now you got to give us some more action.
There you go.
So that's another episode of Hanging with Your Girl Tasha. I'm here Mondays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern every week, guys. Make sure you still share, and give the coach a call. Okay. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Twist. It's a sexy lady who walks around around without being shady. Who knows her values? Who's gone through trials? Her smiles are captured from mouth to mouth. It's not the size of her thighs she worries about, but the pride she thrives to keep that drive. That cinnamon twist. That cinnamon twist. That cinnamon twist. Ladies, can you feel me? That cinnamon twist.